So what we do is we talk and analyze and prefer solutions, and we, push our facts. We're all about the facts. So it's music, sports, politics, and everything in between.
Okay, and on that note, yeah, we're going straight into the today's program. That's going to be basically politics, basically.
Yesterday
We're
we
going to be
still
talking
talked
about.
sports, so, but unfortunately now there's no sports to talk about.
Yeah, basically, there's going to be a lot of.
At least until the Champions League
Also,
happens.
Champions League, there's really not. Neymar is injured, very injured.
You see, so there's always sports.
There's always something to talk about here. Anyway, and then UEFA is paying Liverpool fans back their money,
Which they deserve, and then some.
so that makes sense. So yeah, there's actually sports to talk about. But anyway, there's going to be a lot of things that we're talking about today. INEC is on the front burner. Um, as we speak, INEC is giving people their, what's the word now? Certificates of return. Basically, what certificate of return? Please, can we rearrange the microphone? Please. So, what certificates of return is that once you are duly elected, that is your that's the certificate that you are duly elected. I don't think once you are sworn in, I don't even think there's any form of
No, it's just ceremonies now.
it's just ceremonies. That is like even though we have seen in recent times that this certificate is withdrawn from people
In some cases.
in some cases. So it is not foolproof, but it is some, if you do not have any court issues or anything, it makes sense. And now, according to INEC, about 101 senators elect have gotten their certificates. There's a lot of stories about Sokoto State. There's issues with, I think, a House of Rep member. Okay, no, sorry, that's House of Rep member. For Senate, there's some issues. I think with Sokoto State, they've not even done a lot of the elections. In Enugu, remember that there's a story of the Labour Party candidate that was killed. And stories here and there. So there are going to be supplementary elections for those places. But so that I think there are about just 8.
Yeah, there are about 8 states that would not be up for grabs by all and sundry. We're talking about over 300 gubernatorial candidates, right?
Yeah.
In 18 parties. In some states, you have maybe just 3, 4, or 5. But in some states, you have as many as 12 and
12
above.
and 18,
Yeah.
as much as 18.
Yeah.
There are some parties that do not have, the 2 parties, if you look at the list, that is constant is the PDP and the APC. They have candidates all throughout. Keep in mind that it's not the 36 states of the Federation that have elections ongoing. There are 3 states in the Southwest, 1 state in the North Central, and I think about 4 states. There are 2. I think about 1 or 2 states in the Southeast, and also another 1 or 2 states in the South that are not conducting elections. They have what is called staggered elections. For I think Imo State, Kogi State, and Bayelsa State, the elections is later in the year. When we know that for Odoh State, Ekiti State, and was it? No, it's not even. Odoh State was 2 years ago, if I'm correct. Osho State and Ekiti State were last year. So yeah, we're going to be having those staggered elections from time to time, mainly because of the courts. That some people being sacked and some people being appointed, and and all that. That's why those things are like that. But out of 36 states, we're looking at about 28 of those states that are going to have elections.
Yes, that's what it is. And of those states, like we said earlier, not every party is represented. Now, this is not because they have been limited. It is because they probably do not have candidates. They didn't have the structure or the people on ground to cover those states. There are only two parties, I believe, that will be represented across board.
Across board, yeah.
And of course, the usual suspects will be the PDP, the APC.
And it's very interesting. It's Saturday. There are a lot of things that are going to pop up. Wanted to make a little statement. I think that this is the fault of INEC, and sadly, a lot of media houses are carrying this particular story. Now, on INEC's website, when in posting these names for the senators, it has only 2 names written as women,
As female.
we talked about this yesterday. Indeed, there are actually 3. There's the senator for the Federal Capital Territory, there's a senator in Rivers State, and there's also a senator in Lagos State. I would say that kudos to Lagos State, since for as long as we can remember, Lagos State has always had at least one of its 3 senators as a woman. I think that they're the only state that has really done that in recent times. I think the rest are just happenstances. We talked about this in depth yesterday. Now, according to INEC website, Idiat Adebule is written as male there, and people that do not know her will probably assume that she's also a man, which that is a story that a lot of media houses are carrying.
They're running with that story. And again, this is,
But as
to me, it's shame on the media houses who would not at least remember that name. It's strange.
the name is an idiot. I'm not sure I've ever heard of a man. I think she's
Plus the fact that she was a
or something.
She was a former deputy governor. I don't know. At least don't they have like a political desk where people keep up with information?
I was expecting an attack from the media towards INEC. That how would you? Because the honest truth is that it is already embarrassing enough.
Yep.
It is ridiculous enough that there are only 3 senators that are women that are going to be in the 10th assembly. It is shameful,
especially when it's International Women's Day. Like we're actually talking about all of these things, and again, a big shout out to all the women who have been there, who have been through it, who have broken the glass ceiling in their own field. Women who have done all the things that they were prevented from doing. They have done well. But in politics, it is unfair, really unfair, to put things, and hold them back. You get it, hold them back. So Dolupo is showing me the proper date for IWD, which is tomorrow. Yeah. So because again, International Women's Day.
Those are conversations that we need to have.
There are events leading up to it. It's an entire week of events here and there.
I've been saying it that I agree. I do not agree with the fact that there should be certain seats that should be allocated to women.
Yeah.
I don't feel that things should be dashed out, because there is a level of disrespect that comes with those kind of things. But
I have said
there should be some level of encouragement. Take, for example, I will go back to Lagos State. For years now, at least as far back as I can remember, for about 10, 12 years now, there's been a woman that has been a senator in one of the 3. If every single state can come up with that alone is going to give us a guarantee of 1/3 of the Senate being women.
So again, just like I've always advocated, and I said it, and we must stop giving out tokens and say, okay, we're always politically correct, saying that you're gonna eke out a certain percentage for women, you're gonna carve out. No, we're saying that actually let it be in the constitution of the parties and all of that, that women, for instance, should not be made to pay for their forms. That way you can encourage more women to come out to look. A party, the ruling party, was charging 100 million naira for the presidential form, nomination form.
Yeah.
But they eventually allowed women to
Yeah, I
contest
think
for free.
It was free.
And only one woman took that offer.
So now, my question is that at that point,
Yeah.
do we now blame the system?
It's the system.
Or there's the story of women also not encouraging each other? Because if my male counterpart has to pay 100 million naira and I have to not pay anything, you would have thought that there would be a lot more participation, because I'm guessing that's the point of those things.
It's the system.
So how is it the system?
It's the system that has not allowed them, a soft landing as councillors, that has not allowed them an equal playing field as local government chairmen or chairpersons or chairperson, that has not allowed them a clear shot at the House of Assembly and everything. Like, the system, look, politics are structured in Nigeria. You need to go through certain hoops and certain, barriers and everything to even come out. But I'm saying that while it's okay because there are more men who participate in politics, the women should be encouraged. That way, when they see one winner and the second winner, then they can come out. Then women on their own also need to help each other. They need to help each other. Look, we're not even waiting for you guys anymore.
Exactly. That's where my issue comes from. Like, as much as, let's be honest with ourselves, maybe not a lot of people are doing enough. Maybe the society is not doing enough. But the little that the society is doing, how much of that, of those advantages are we taking up?
Yeah, so those are the things. In clear times, women need to be encouraged and given a chance to prove themselves. I remember when, as far back as how many years, Shina Peters made a song. Shina Peters was a massive hit in the late 80s and 90s, and he's still around now, still doing good songs. But there was a part when he was saying, now wow for Nigerian men, give our women chance to rule, give our women chance to talk. Go to India now, woman. That time, India had a female prime minister. England has had two in recent times. They've had two. In fact, one of them is referred to as the Iron Lady.
You remember that? I was talking. I was listening to a space last night, and someone made a statement which actually now pops in my head. And the person said that if you look through, take for example this women involvement. If you go through countries that have democracies, in quote, which we claim that is probably one of the most transparent forms of government, they are the ones that have these issues. Has there really been a United States female president?
No.
And you will think that they're very advanced.
But India had a prime minister. The UK had.
They are the ones that do not have the basic democracy, and they have all the monarchical systems and all that, their prime ministers and all those things. But there is a large chunk of ways that you look down on their form of government. But here we are with as we claim, the more advanced form of government, but the basic things that other people are doing, we're not.
So once again, we had trashed this out yesterday, and we're not just trying to play to the gallery. We are really intent on proving to the world that women must not be kept behind, and they must be allowed a level playing field. I even want even more than that, so that they can actually prove to you, because there are amazing women in this country. I've come across a lot of them. I've worked with a few of them, and when you listen to their ideas, you know that they actually know what they're talking about. So how do men get off thinking that it's only men that can run the country and do the things that they want to do? For me, if I was voting in Adamawa, I would be voting for Binani. yesterday we're talking about how there are only 2 gubernatorial candidates that are women of about how many hundreds of candidates who are trying to be governor in 20-something states, right?
Yeah. 28 states.
There are only 2 women. One in the APC, the Senator of Binani,
and then one in Labour Party.
Labour Party in River State, that's Madam Itubo or something. I think that's her name. And even sadly now, we're still going to talk about River State, where it doesn't even look like the woman is still a candidate.
Anymore. Exactly. You know, that's where wanted to go to. But before we get to
we're not going there yet. But
before we get to states, INEC is a lot in the news today. First is the story of the release of the names and all that. Now, still talking about House of Rep members and the list. According to the list that they have put out today, they have deleted the name of the majority leader of the House of Representatives, Ado Doguwa, from the elected House of Representatives members. Now, they're saying that according to INEC, they have said that the announcement was done under duress. Remember that he's the same one that has been arrested. I know there's news that he's been granted bail of about 500 million naira. He's the same one that has been arrested in his alleged involvement in killing of certain people and burning of the secretariat of the New Nigeria's People's Party.
Now again, we will err on the side of caution and say, okay, there are laws surrounding this thing. But really and truly, if this man has committed these crimes, my joy is that he doesn't have any form of immunity.
Oh yeah,
that's what a lot of criminals who are politicians hide behind. They don't want to be prosecuted for anything. Now, if he's guilty, he will pay, and it will also serve as a deterrent to people like him who think that politics is war. Politics is not war. If you really want to serve, if it's about service, you will not be killing people. Allegedly, you won't be killing people. If it's about service, you will not. But I think a lot of them, it's their lifeblood. That's what they live on. They don't have any other thing. They don't have businesses that they are running. They don't have a career. They're just. I hate it when someone says that someone is a career politician. I'm like, for real. For real. Like, but you're a career politician.
Why can't you actually be a career politician?
Because politics is about service. And politics, for you to be a politician that is in government, you need a mandate that is temporary. Your mandate cannot be permanent. But your career is supposed to be permanent.
The Senate and the House of Representatives and the State Houses of Assembly, they're kind of permanent. Because
there are 2 names that you're going to mention now that have actually been around since the time of Imo River. That is what we say, immemorial. But guess what? There's just 2 names or 3 names of how many? There are 109 senators at any given time.
No, that's what I'm saying. I was not even going to mention name. I'm just saying that maybe until that conversation happens and there's a law against it, some people have been career politicians since.
And I'm saying it's completely wrong. You see, and that's why we have a problem in Nigeria.
But the problem is that it's also not a Nigerian thing.
I'm talking about Nigeria. That's what I know. But if you want to expand it, let's expand it. Now, in those other crimes that you're talking about, go on research. Those people have other things that they are into. They have other sources of income. They are not people who are expecting to get.
But you also know that I think that at last I checked, you can also have like some multiple jobs and all that as a public servant and all those.
These guys are not public servants.
Oh, okay.
What kind of public servants are they? They are politicians, and they have tenures, and their tenures expire every 4 years. Every single one of them has a 4-year tenure. The local government is 3 years. There's a reason why there's a tenure, and there's a reason why it expires. It's because you're not meant to be there forever. So the fact that people look at loopholes and say, oh, there's no limit to the number of times I can run for Senate. But there's a limit to the number of times you can run for executive positions. So politics is not meant to be a career. It's not meant to be a career. That's where our problem lies. If people actually had other sources of income and things that they were doing with their time, they will not go and sit down at the seat of power and expect to be there perpetually. We need fresh ideas from time to time. That's why there's an election every 4 years at the national and state level. That's why there's a limit to the number of times a governor or a president can run. That's what we're talking about. So for me, it's okay for everybody to want to be senator or House of Rep member, House of Assembly member, or even councillor. But there is a limit. That's why it's every 4 years. And if your people decide to renew it for you, all well and good. You must be representing them well. You must be attracting all the projects that you should attract. Maybe that's why they keep sending you back. Or maybe they just don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're not even bothered.
Okay, and I'm still talking about INEC. INEC is doing a lot on this matter today, as they have now suspended the resident electoral commissioner in Sokoto State, Dr. Nura Ali. Now, they're saying that they do not know. They've asked the person to stay away from the commission's office. The letter that has been sent, we don't know why or what's happening in Sokoto State, but they have said the person should come and be going to their house.
Yeah. Again, if he hasn't done something that they feel makes him culpable, they would not have suspended him. So maybe he's done something that's brought INEC to disrepute, especially with all the complaints about how the elections were conducted by a lot of people. So many people were talking about how they feel that INEC didn't do a good job or a great job with the elections as were conducted.
Okay, that's very cool. Just wanted to put this out there. The Presidential Election Petition Commission has now today listed a few of the motions they're going to be listening to. There is a lot of motions from here and there. Remember, there's an INEC motion seeking to vary the orders granted to the candidates of the People's Democratic Party and Labour Party to inspect materials used in the last presidential elections. So now let me break this down a little bit.
Okay.
The Labour Party and the PDP had gone to court to ask for permission to be able to inspect election materials. Now, INEC, as I read yesterday, had now gone to court to say that out of everything that they need inspection, that the beavers might not be possible because these are the same machines that are going to be used. They need to be reconfigured and redeployed for the governorship elections in 28 states.
Okay.
So they're asking the court to check out that that order, that it probably needs to be, with the situation on ground, there probably has to be a change. Also listed at the hearing today was also a motion filed by the APC, the president-elect Bola Tinubu, his party, for an order to inspect the materials also used for the elections. Okay. Further listed for hearing is a motion by Labour Party and its presidential candidate for leave to carry out a digital forensic and physical inspection of the beavers.
Okay.
Now, these beavers, there's going to be a lot of story because except there's going to be new set of machines. I don't know how INEC is going to do this in a few days' time, barely 4 days' time.
Okay, well, they're obviously going to use the same beavers for the gubernatorial elections, and whatever inspections that they want to carry out will be after. So does he have the memory to retain? Some devices have internal memories that would retain, data. So even when you make a call over and over again, or you text, or it will store it. Now, the same beavers will be used for gubernatorial elections on Saturday.
Yeah.
Would it not be overwritten?
Yeah, exactly.
And he now uses...
I'm even saying that the least that INEC might do, if it is convenient enough, transfer the data on it already to something else.
But again, how does that support the emotion? How does that support what the opposition or the people who are aggrieved are trying to prove? If you say that they are backing it up, wouldn't they tell you that, in the process of backing up, it was tweaked?
I don't know. At this point, really, people need to also understand that what the BVAS is just going to tell you is the correct number of accredited voters.
Yes.
That's basically what it does.
Yes.
So?
Yeah, but again, because a lot of education has to be done about BVAS and IREV.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that some data is processed, and uploaded based on votes, and the other is for verification of voters before voting.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just have the erroneous belief that BVAS.
Really, people just need to educate yourselves a little bit more. There was something I wanted to talk about that happened yesterday. It's been going on for weeks. I feel there's something I should talk about, but let's quickly run through the stories. I'm still talking about the election tribunal. Today, the All Progressives Congress has assembled a team of highly experienced and qualified lawyers to represent it at the Presidential Electoral Petition Tribunal. According to the statement, the National Legal Advisor has said that it comprises of about 13 senior advocates of Nigeria. I think there are about 50 of them, 50 lawyers in all.
Yeah, we also saw that before the presidential elections, the APC had actually set up its legal team. Mm-hmm. And now they've actually more or less firmed it up now with the list of legal luminaries that are going to be involved in this whole process. One name that stands out for me always is Wole Olanipekun. He's like some kind of juggernaut when it comes to
election tribunals.
Oh yeah. We've also heard about the Labour Party too coming up with something, but they've not done something officially. It's just their supporters putting out a name. There was a particular picture of a lawyer and the garb that he was wearing. Yeah. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't be putting this out. You shouldn't be putting this. But because the party has not put it out officially, I'm not going to talk about it.
If it's the picture of the person I saw, last I checked,
and it looks,
doesn't he do election issues with the PDP? Anyway, people can move.
Lawyers don't have party allegiances.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about
they don't.
it,
a lawyer will take a case from anybody as long as he believes that he can win the case.
Exactly.
Or defend his client.
Makes perfect sense. Anyway, still talking about candidates. Police have now declared the Ebonyi governorship candidate Bernard Odoh wanted for murder. They're saying that he's wanted for the gruesome murder of the traditional ruler of Umu Ezekoha community, Eze Christopher Igboke Ewa.
Okay.
That's a huge allegation.
Murder is massive. Yeah, it's something that ideally the person shouldn't even be contesting for an election or running for an election in the first place. I used to have the belief that when people fill these forms and the party send their names to INEC, I actually assumed that INEC would have sent those names to law enforcement.
But wait, it said that this person was killed February 26th,
which is after the screening.
Exactly. So you honestly, I don't think you can blame INEC for that.
No, I'm just saying that I always believe that there's screening, because you find out that after a while, some people get disqualified for this reason and that, and you're like, weren't you supposed to have screened
them? I agree
them
with
for
you.
this and all? So if these so-called or allegedly, this event happened allegedly after, the screening might have gone, through, then kudos to the law enforcement people who are saying that, they're trying to get this person to answer to his alleged crimes. Because
Yeah.
we use alleged because it's until it's proven.
There are a lot of things. Remember the story of the EFCC trying to arrest the PDP gubernatorial candidate of Rivers State and all that. I think that case is also still in court. And so at the end of the day, we actually need to, like you said, we need to really vet people a lot before we even put out their names out in the first place. I feel that it's not even about whether you are wrong or not. There are some things that once an allegation is leveled against you, it's best you just step down from some of these things, and especially when it's something as
step down Nigeria
grievous as murder. Yeah, first sort out your issues before anything else happens. Now let's move on from that and let's move on to Labour Party. So now we know that there's presidential elections are over, but the governorship elections are in a few days' time. Now, in some states, according to INEC, I think Labour Party has about 12 governorship candidates. And out of those 12, looks like there's a lot of drama that is happening with a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I start from?
Start from the top.
No, I can pick it from anywhere.
So why are you asking?
So, okay, now let's start from
You
River
knew where
State.
you were going to start from.
Funny enough, I didn't. But anyway, let me start from River State. You know, we had talked about her briefly, about how the Labour Party governorship candidate is a woman, one of the only two women that are contesting for governorship elections in Nigeria in 2023. And now looks like her party is ditching her because they had put out a statement today basically endorsing the PDP governorship candidate in the state.
Same Fubara. Now, before we even talk about that, I just wanted to chip this in. Let me put it on record. This is going to be the first gubernatorial candidate in the history of Nigeria
That nobody has seen. Nobody knows his whereabouts.
That is not campaigning. That is wanted by the law enforcement agency, bodies, and would most likely win an election and be sworn in one way or the other, then assume the position of immunity. Same Fubara. Nollywood, you people are sleeping on one of the biggest scripts ever.
Yeah. I honestly want to see how this script is going to
because
play out. I'm really, really waiting.
He has not campaigned for a minute. In fact, the outgoing governor of Rivers State, is the one campaigning for the incoming governor. It's interesting.
It's
really interesting.
Really.
So
I really want to see how that drama you're talking about is going to play out.
Labour Party. The members of Labour Party have told us about how they want change. They don't want the old order and AP, PDP, AP, PCP, whatever nomenclature that they refer to the PDP and the APC as should be done away with. How are they seen in public endorsing candidates of the APC in Delta, candidates of the PDP in Rivers, and candidate of the PDP in Oyo State? First things first, like Dolupo pointed out, they have only 12 gubernatorial candidates. And even in Rivers State, where they have a candidate, and in Oyo, where they have a candidate, it is on record that party officially has endorsed candidates of the PDP in those two states. If you really are
you really serious about doing
away with the old order, this should not be happening. Although yesterday I gave them a soft landing. I talked about how the movement, finding out to call what they call themselves, but the movement that Peter Obi has is different from the party that he is in.
Okay, so so this is now that this is the issue of the Labour Party. Now in Oyo State as well, like you had said, there's even a lot of drama. We've not heard anything from the governorship candidate in River State, yeah, which the Labour Party in River State is also indicting her of some issues. In Oyo State, there was even a press conference where there was an interview, where the Labour Party candidate was going off on the governor and calling him names and saying that the chairman of the party too is all this and all that, and saying that he was not stepping down for anybody. Same thing when we go to, like you said, in Delta State. There's already issues with them. That is already 3. Now in Lagos State, there's a very peculiar story about Lagos State issue. And we're going to take it from the Labour Party and from the PDP. So it started, I think this conversation started again after a second gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party, Prince Professor, I'm saying it exactly how I heard him say it, Prince Professor Fagbemi Awamaridi, says that he is the authentic. Why are you laughing? Stop laughing.
I'm not laughing.
No, I was talking to you.
It's the man behind the camera.
That's how he's called himself, Prince Professor
Fagbemi
Awamaridi. Shout out to you though. I like the sash you had on your neck. It was really cool.
That was when he was on TV yesterday.
I saw it. It was pretty cool. Anyway, he is outside and he has some horse tail that he seemed to be playing with and all that. Very interesting looking person. But he's now saying that, which the case is in court. He's saying that there was a primaries that made him the gubernatorial candidate for his party. Then Rottweiler came and there was some hanky-panky, and then they said that there was another primaries, which he's saying,
that's according to Fagbemi.
which he's saying that is illegal, and there was no need for another primaries. And he's also saying that this particular candidate is not a bona fide member of the Labour Party. Now, hold that thought a little bit. Before we go away from that, the gubernatorial candidate for the for Lagos State for PDP was in an interview where it was asked that, because there was a few days ago an interview that we don't even know which one now, how to say, is it factional or the original Labour Party candidate, where he said that he was in talks with the owners of the structure of the PDP for some kind of alliance. Now, the governorship candidate for the PDP in Lagos State was saying categorically in the video that he is not in alliance with anybody, and being in alliance with someone like that, according to him, is likened to sitting on a keg of gunpowder. And he's referring to the same thing that Fagbemi Awamaridi says, that Gbadebo Rottweiler is not even a member of the Labour Party, so he was not even eligible to contest in the primaries. And with what they're all saying, I'm about to read a section of the new Electoral Act, Section 77, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act, where they're all referring to. This statement has come up talking about the eligibility of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party as well. So this is not the first time this is coming up. And according to this law, it says that each political party shall make register available to the commission not later than 30 days before the date fixed for party primaries, congresses, or convention. Now, what they're saying is that the primaries that made Gbadebo Rottweiler the Labour Party governorship candidate was done just a few days
Yeah.
after he joined the party.
Yeah, just to support what you're saying, Fagbemi Awamaridi was the chairman of the party in Lagos, and is also alleging that the national chairman, Julius Abure, should not be chairman, that his tenure has expired.
Okay.
That's another angle. Now, the Julius Abure exco decided to remove Fagbemi Awamaridi and chose a Kayode Salako as state chairman. Normally, you're supposed to do that with a state congress. And all of that. So, there's a lot of things that's happened that people need to relax and look
I
up.
really hope that people sat down with this electoral act.
Around that same time, they also went ahead to conduct the primaries that you're referring to, and they called it a substitution primaries, because when names were being submitted to INEC, it was Fagbemi Awamaridi's name that was there. Now, the concept is akin to when Bola Tinubu of the APC submitted the name of another member of his party as his running mate. Pending when...
like a placeholder?
Yeah, that's where that phrase became popular, placeholder. Pending when he chose Kashim Shettima.
But was there a proper replacement?
They went through the proper process. But I'm just saying that...
not the APC now. This is Labour Party in Lagos State. Was there a proper replacement?
That's the bone of contention. I'm going to establish it now. So, the Labour Party did the same thing. They had not chosen that team as their vice presidential candidate. So, they submitted the name of Donyi Okukwe as the vice presidential candidate, running alongside Peter Obi as president. So the placeholder concept, probably made popular by Bola Tinubu, but replicated almost immediately by the Labour Party, even at state level. So if Fagbemi Awamaridi, party chairman, insists that it was duly, elected or appointed as the gubernatorial candidate of the Labour Party in Lagos. That's why he went to court. And the case is pending. Now, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it is. I think this is a case that the court needs to, because we need a lot of explanation.
Because Moshood Salvador, who used to be a member of the PDP, crossed to the APC 4 years ago. I remember he crossed during that time that Ambode was leaving and Sanwo-Olu was coming in. Then left the APC a few months ago to join the Labour Party so he could pick up the ticket of the party. It was the candidate that Gbadebo Rhodes Viver contested against at the substitution primaries, in quote, substitution.
So now, because according to a publication from Fagbemi Awamaridi, he's talking about that because the case is still in court, everybody is supposed to maintain status quo. And according to INEC, the last name, according to INEC, is Fagbemi Awamaridi.
And that's what he has been claiming, The party actually have been warning Awamaridi to stop parading himself as their gubernatorial candidate. They refer to him, it's been referred to as a, placeholder. National Publicity Secretary Abayomi Arabambi, I think he's also out at some point. There's been a lot of it's like musical chairs with the Labour Party and their principal officers. But he said that Awamaridi was chairman of Labour Party Lagos Caretaker Committee at one point. He was made a placeholder for the governorship primary elections. His name was substituted. was submitted as the governorship candidate since Labour was yet to finally conclude all required processes.
Now, my issue with that is that
because
I hope
in the case
that
of,
from some reason,
you know why this is dangerous.
This substitution, it's also remember that the person that you have to substitute with must also be a bona fide member of the party.
And in the case, again, you know why it's a slippery slope is that in this case, in the case of Bola Tinubu and Peter Obi, they were the principals.
Yeah.
And it was their vices, in quotes, their vice presidential candidates that were placeholders. They are the ones that won at the primaries. And that's what the law says. But in the case of our Maridi, is the candidate that was submitted, not his vice.
Not his vice.
So the substitution might not work well for the Labour Party. This might be a ticking time bomb.
It
might be. You know, we're just looking at the facts here, but according to Arabambi, he said our Maridi's tenure had also expired as the chairman of the caretaker committee.
I think this is not even an issue.
You know, no, as chairman of the party, because he is also insinuating or stating that the national ESCO2 is expired. So that's another ball game entirely. So that even the chairman of, as we speak now, is saying that even the chairman of Labour, Abure, might even not, by law, be the chairman.
Now, the issue with me is that now the national chairman has now also come out to talk, or the embattled national chairman has now come out to say that Labour Party is not endorsing any other candidate.
Yeah, so they're not endorsing any candidate that is not a member of their party. But their state chairman have written on their official letterheads and have spoken in public of them endorsing
people.
Do you get? At least in 2 states, in Oyo and Rivers states, it is on record that Seyi Makinde got the endorsement, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State.
Yeah.
Got the endorsement of Labour Party. It's a fact. It's there. Even if the candidate of Labour Party kicks against it, but the ESCO has spoken. Now, in Rivers, the same thing. Sim Fubara, he gets endorsement from Labour Party. And go back to what I said. The Peter Obi movement. Is different from the Labour Party. Now, Peter Obi movement are people who voted Labour, regardless of the candidate, regardless of whatever, party, they voted Labour, largely because of Peter Obi.
Yeah.
Now, Labour Party ESCO is now telling them how to vote. On Saturday, we would find out
if is going to work.
It's going to work or not. This might end up even working for the opposition. The way things are going now. Largely because they also don't have candidates across Nigeria. And in the 12 states that they have candidates, there's crisis in at least 3 of them. But people don't want to hear these things. They don't want to listen to these things. And the instant you do it, oh, you're enemy. No, we don't really care about what you even think. We just care about the facts. So, Peter Obi, on his own part too, has encouraged his people to vote Labour regardless. You even listen to their public meetings that they're having on Twitter. It's called Spaces, and they're saying they don't care, just vote Labour, because he's contesting and he's going to court, and no matter what happens, it would be nice for him to have 12 governors. That I've heard a lot of the members say that. I know, and also have House of Assembly members who would be Labour Party. So at the end of the day, we don't know how this is going to pan out. Are people going to be like, oh, we're supporting Labour regardless of who is the candidate and what the Labour Party ESCO in those states are saying? They're going to vote Labour. Or they're going to do this sectional thing like they have announced in Delta State, where they have openly come out. I've seen several videos and pictures of them endorsing the candidate of the APC, the outgoing Deputy Senate President, Omo Agege. There's obedient movement supporting Omagege in Delta.
In Delta, yeah.
So
we
it's
need to.
interesting, but this is politics.
But you know that, remember that we had this discussion, was it yesterday, that people need to understand that presidential election is completely different from governorship elections.
Completely.
So maybe people need to brace themselves and think that maybe if you think that a presidential candidate won in a particular state, or a party that won in a particular state did not win the governorship in that state, do not be surprised. There are no two elections that are the same. I think it's something that people definitely need to brace themselves for. Anyway, also still talking about elections, the Nnpp has moved to seek the cancellation of the Anambra senatorial elections. This one, everybody's going to court. I think it's well within their right to go to court and air their grievances. Now, last before we go,
please don't do your last before you go thing yet. I know that.
You wanted to say something?
Oh yes, I do.
Oh, please go ahead.
I am going to be quoting an headline from the Tribune newspapers that was published on the 6th of March.
Mm-hmm.
I am the authentic LP Guba candidate in River State. Man cries out. Who is the man? Who is the man that's saying this? His name is Fafa Dan Prince Will. And he claims that he is the authentic
what?
Labour Party governorship candidate in River State. Okay. So if we even go by this, there are two people laying claim, and I'm reading from the Tribune, to the Labour Party candidacy in River State.
Anyway, like I said, Saturday will come and go, because at this point, honestly, I feel that not because okay, let me just say it because it might come out funny, but lastly, before we go, I wanted to talk about something that has been going on social media for a couple of days, and it is the amount of violence, the amount of hatred and what we call tribalism, the lack of respect for each other that we've been seeing the past few days. I think there was a height yesterday where someone had come out to condemn a particular space that was pretty violent. There's not really nothing we can. It's not a lie. What is it? What it is? It was what it was. A pretty violent. And the next comment someone else was going to put out was that he was waiting for him in so place, and that he was going to hack him to death. And I'm like, when did we stop having opinions anymore? It is interesting that more younger people are getting involved. Sadly, as much as we want to make noise that more people are getting involved, by the time we saw the numbers of people that voted in the last elections, it's probably one of the lowest Nigeria has ever had. In recent times. Even since 1999, it's probably one of the lowest numbers. So it literally did not translate to more people voting. It just seemed like more people getting interested in the concept of...
It was more of newer people voting than more people voting.
More people voting. And more people getting interested in the concept of elections, which is, it's good, yes. But because we're getting interested in this, I do not understand how people put out vile things because someone has a contrary opinion to you. We are at a point that we're very fragile in this country. There are a lot of things that are going on that we're at a very fragile state. And take, for example, this particular space that was ongoing for 6 days. There were a lot of people that were saying a lot of hateful, vile things against other people. And two things that I took away, because I've heard snippets of it. there was not one person that could douse the tension that was in that space. Are we saying that they're not people that could see that, regardless of who you follow or who, that is just basic human behavior, that some things are just not right? And then when did it become a crime for people to actually have divergent views?
Well, for me, because we're really out of time, I'm just going to say that election no be war. Election is not war. This homily, this piece that Dolupo has talked about does not end today. We'll expand on it tomorrow. But we're just calling on everybody out there that regardless of your political leaning, please don't resort to violence. As they talk for worry, person we start am now, start am, but it no be him go finish am.
You know the worst part
You know,
of these
you don't
things,
know how far
you know the
some
one
of
that
these
even
rhetorics
amazes
will go.
me most? A lot of people that say this hateful things and then they hit up the polity. Guess what?
They're not even here.
They're
now.
not even here.
No be
They're
you,
not here.
no be you the moo.
And I'm like, what exactly? And people are here sitting down listening to these things, even all the way to pastors. That's a story for another day. Like he said, this one, I will come back tomorrow and I will sit with it and have a major conversation around it.
Let's
I will
talk
come
about
with a lot of receipts
Let's talk
and a
about
lot of
it.
videos. I will be back tomorrow. No problem. Anyway, on that note, that is all we'll be able to take today on the Boombar. Thank you for listening. Thank you very, very much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you another wonderful edition of The Bar. Please do have a nice day ahead.